welcome to my channel. So guess what? I found all the descriptions of a watch broken out by part. This is pretty funny because every time I do work on watches, I'm like, okay, what is this? What is this? I know what most of them are. These are the ones that screw me up. So this is the ratchet wheel, and this ratchet wheel goes on top of the mainspring. The crown wheel is the wheel that winds the ratchet wheel, and the crown wheel with these little tiny crown wheel, what's this called, crown wheel washers or whatever, washers. I'm reading upside down right now, and the crown wheel actually goes into contact with the winding pinion way down here in the land of winding pinions. Here we go, look at that. There's the winding pinion down there, contacts the crown wheel, which turns the ratchet wheel, which winds the mainspring. Now, if I could remember that, it would be really nice, because I can never remember those specific components. The ratchet wheel, the crown wheel, and the winding pinion. Oh my God, oh my God. So today, I've got a different kind of problem. So I've got this old pocket watch. This is the watch repairs manual, by the way. Great watch. So this watch I made a video on a while back, cleaned it up, got it working, everything was fine, ran for a couple days, and all of a sudden it stopped. I looked inside, looked and see why it was stopped, and the impulse jewel was on the outer side of the pallet fork. You know how that pallet fork has a little mouth that takes the jewel in, the impulse jewel in, and then swings it both ways, right? So it was on the outside of that pallet, of the pallet fork, like this, which means overbanking. So I had to look this up. I know the situation. I've only had it a few times. It's caused by one of two problems. And I'm going to just open this book up and show you what those problems are. Alrighty then, the causes of overbanking. So I just described what it was, and this book that I just had up a few seconds ago, this is the watchmakers, let me see, the Watch Repairs Manual by Fried. Excellent book, very good book. Let me just flip through the pages here quickly. Overbanking, out of action, blah blah blah. So go to the meat of the matter here. Overbanking. So here you got a situation where the jewel, the impulse jewel, is on the wrong side, right, of the pallet fork. So there's the pallet fork opening, and the impulse jewel is on this side, and so it goes bang, 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 and there's usually a little stress on that. And if you were to move the wheel a bit this way and then let go, it would just sort of smash against the side there. So it's, the pallet fork should be against this banking pin here, ready to accept this jewel, but somehow it has snapped over to this banking pin when it shouldn't have, and so that it's not ready to accept that jewel. And there's lots of different reasons for this. So excessive end shake is one of the reasons, as it's showing here. So this here, the safety pin, as they say, someone told me that's what the Swiss call it, but the safety pin here is obviously not making any contact with the double roller, the safety roller, right, which is causing, so because this is, as you can see, there's a gap here, and the whole balance has shifted this way, shifted down, and it's causing, down or up, depending on what side of the watch you're on, but it's causing this safety the safety pin to not be able to interact with the double roller. So and then there's other reasons for this too. So too much end shake is this reason, right, that you're looking at there. And then I'm reading backwards here, so excessive side shake is also an issue. So here you can see the safety roller isn't even near this, the safety against this pin here, the safety pin. So also called the whatever it says there. So anyway, so the guard finger, there we go. So the guard finger, safety pin, guard finger, I'll call it the guard finger. Anyway, so that's not allowing that to get in contact with this. So if the watch is jarred, then the fork will snap over to the other side, and the safety pin or the guard finger won't allow that to not happen. So that's another situation here. And then here's a situation where it's bent, right? So it's bent, so it's not working. So bent guard finger is also going to cause a problem because it's not allowed to enter into this small gap here, which is another issue. So that's not good. And the bottom it says bent guard finger, and there we go. Then there's all kinds of reasons. Distorted roller table. So that's the roller table again is away from where the guard finger should be, and therefore it's not making contact. The pallet is out of alignment, which is not allowing the guard finger to be near this again. This is the pallet itself. That's this way. So that's the pallet fork is sideways basically in this situation. That's not that common a situation. Excessive crushed rollers. So if the roller table is crushed or something, that's going to cause the issue. Bent pivots are going to cause it to go out of shape here and move out of the way. And so you can see this guard finger now is not making contact with the double roller. And then that's a cracked roller actually, and this is the bent pivot situation, which is kind of the same here, where the pivot is bent down here, as you can see, which is making the whole balance move away from where that is, which is crappy. The correct guard finger length is an interesting one, because you can have a guard finger that might be the wrong length, and this down here, and then cause that to not enter that gap that I showed earlier. So the wrong guard finger length up here, then this guard finger wouldn't enter this gap here as it comes around. So that causes a problem as well. And then last but not least, is there a last but not least here? I guess the correct guard finger length, proper guard finger length. So that's how that's measured as it's entered into the double roller. So I have a single roller situation on this particular watch. I don't believe it's a double roller. And let's have a look at what that would be. And I have another part of this book that allows you to dealing with the guard finger. So here in the book is a section on adjusting the guard finger. So in this case here, it's telling you that the guard finger is either bent or too short. In this situation here, the guard finger is, I believe, on the right side here. And we're looking at the correct finger length is this one here, where the finger is going to enter the roller table and then allow the impulse jewel to be accepted by the mouth of the pallet fork. So in this situation here, the guard finger touches the safety roller due to shock, right? So that shock would cause the pallet fork to snap over to the other side, and then you get this situation up here where it's overbanked. So they're saying that in this situation that guard finger is not correct, and it's not long enough, right? So but this is not the situation for this really old pocket watch, this watch right here, because it has a different kind of guard finger, because it's a single roller. So it's not the situation where it's like this. It's a different situation. But this book does show you how to, take your staking set and actually punch down to extend the length of that guard finger, which could solve the problem if the guard finger is not entering the mouth properly, and you can just use your finger to move your balance back and forth to see if you've got issues like that. But in this, and it just shows you exactly how to make a new guard finger if you want to do that. But here, I think, is a situation that I have with this watch. Perhaps, but I'm going to go to a different angle altogether here. So in this case here, the guard finger is one of these type guard finger that snaps straight up, right? And it enters the mouth of the roller table here as it spins around. And that should all work fine, right, as you go through. But, so if I had an issue like this and it wasn't entering the mouth and the guard finger was slightly bent, there's a chance I could bend this back and might fix the problem. But what I think the problem is with this particular watch is the impulse jewel is slightly loose. So that impulse jewel on the roller table is slightly loose, which would cause this when it's going back and forth. If it moves out of the way, the impulse tool moves just ever so slightly, this could cause the watch to overbank. So I'm going to have a look at the watch. I'm going to look at the guard finger, entry and exit, and I'm going to look and see if this impulse jewel is loose. I already went into my stereo microscope and I banged that impulse jewel against the outer part of that pallet fork ever so slightly, and it kind of felt like this thing was moving just a tiny bit. So, which means the solution to that is to reset that impulse jewel into the roller table. So I'm going to have to strip this movement down once again. I'm like, oh my God, these movements, sometimes these things are a lot of work because you think you got one problem solved and then another one pops up. I can't see it here. So, and this is a situation where it was running really well and now it kind of flubbers against the bank. And if you see this, I'll just move this in nice and close so you can see what I mean. See if I can do this. And I'll just make this. You see how that just sort of goes bang bang? That's because that impulse jewel is hitting the other side of the pallet fork and can't go through. So that is an issue, and it can only be rectified, I think, by adjusting that impulse jewel, I believe. So the first thing I'm going to do is quickly disassemble this watch. Disassemble it. So I'm going to have to, I don't have to take the hands off, hopefully, but it is a pain. So I'm going to make sure these hands, because when this thing pops out, it'll be the other side. So I want to make sure these hands are in the right side here. I don't want to have to remove these hands again, because I had it nicely configured, beautifully done. And now it's being a pain. So this is for my buddy Alan. This is Alan's mother's grandfather's watch, I think, something like that. So just when I thought the work was done there, Alan, and bingo bango, another problem shows up. These watches are like that. They have personality. Even putting this case cover was a little bit challenging here. And alright, I don't want to fingerprint this watch, so I'm just going to go like this so I don't fingerprint the watch. Keep my fingers away, just spill it out. There we go, like that. And I'm going to number 58 Myers movement holder here and make sure the hands are not close to the movement holder. Just put it on top like that for a second, and the hands are on either side, which is good. And I just won't put too much pressure on this because I got the dial there and I don't want to crack the dial or anything, right? Just make sure that is in place here nicely. Alright, that's good enough for now, so just tighten that up a bit. And again, this is spring loaded, so it prevents the watch, prevents you from tightening it too much. And now I've got to take the balance off, and I'll put it on a balance tack so I have a home for it. Turn the tack around to align with the balance as I take that off. And I got to strip this down a bit again. Oh me, oh my. I had this thing running so well too. It's a pee me off situation. A pee me off situation. So I'm putting a little pressure down on this balance cock here as I try to pull it up. That way I've got some control over it. And now I want to dump this out, so I'm going to get another pair of tweezers here so I don't cause too much problem. You know what, I'm going to put this down again for a second. Switch hands here. and then lift it up with this hand and then shimmy it out with this hand. Dual-handed. D-U-A-L handed. Now I got to take the so that's that. I'm gonna have a really close look at this up close with my stereo microscope to see if there's a problem with this here. So because I know that if I just push this back and forth, it snaps back and forth nicely, so it's working well. But I'm going to look at this just in case the safety pin, or whatever you want to call it, someone told me the Europeans call it safety pin, in case there's an issue with the safety pin. So let me go away and have a look at that. So the horn of the safety pin does look like it's bent a little bit outward. Now I'm not sure if I can draw this for you, but I'm going to try. So I got a little yellow piece of sticky here. I just need a pen so I can draw this thing appropriately. Alright, it's crappy drawing time. So, safety pin. So if this is the fork here, right, I'm going to try to draw this the right way here. That's the pallet fork. The mouth of the pallet fork is here, and the safety pin actually comes up. In this case, it looks like it's bent forward just a bit. I'm exaggerating here, and then it comes up like that. So, and then the roller would come in contact. I'm going to draw this like this. The roller would come through like that, and the impulse jewel would be going through like this. So that would be the mouth of the pallet fork there. So if you looked at it like this, it would be, there's the mouth of there's the horns, and there's the mouth, and there's, let me just see if I can do this. There's the other side, there's the other part of the mouth, then like this. This is actually flat, not like I'm showing. And then this guy here is sticking straight up like that. This is wider, of course, but it's sticking straight up, so that's this here. So I'm not sure if that's the problem, but I have to test the jewel here. Just flip this thing around and then take my tweezers and see if that jewel is moving. Because if the jewel is moving, then that's the problem. So it could be a side shake or some kind of other problem, but I want to get this thing resolved. Alrighty, then there's the jewel itself right here. So I'm going to get in super close on this. I'm going to use my Made in China ×15s that I used in another video earlier, and just grab that and see if it's in there well. So then it might be some other issue, but I gotta go in here. I should do this under the microscope, but I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do here. Just hold that balance steady with my fingers. That actually feels pretty solid, so it might be the safety pin going up. So let me have a look at that, and it could be some side shake on this as well. I'm hoping it isn't, because the pivots they don't look bent. They look pretty good. All right, I want you to pay particular attention to this roller table here. What I have, if you look at where the safety roller or the safety pin would come through, it would be right here. So this little tiny indent or groove accepts that safety pin. So that is a really small groove compared to other ones I've seen in roller tables. So this is kind of crappy, because any side shake at all from this watch, any side shake at all, any movement of the pallet fork one way or the other could cause the safety pin to go outside of that little tiny half moon that's there and cause this thing to overbank. So I don't know if there is a solution to this that will work because of because of how close that this is. So, but what I can do is I can try to adjust the horn of that roller table, or sorry, the safety pin of that pallet fork to see if I can move that in place, or move it a little bit closer to this little U here. So, or this half moon. So let me have a look at that. So if you're looking straight down at this, it's this piece. I'm going to get a screwdriver to point at it because it's so small. I'm going to get my smallest screwdriver. I have to look through my camera to make this work. So there it is right there. There's that horn coming up that has to enter this small, half moon on the roller table in single roller. And just push it to the other side for a second. And if this thing is off just a tiny bit, that's not going to work. And if I look at the pallet fork, and I look at the pallet fork being in position here, and and being absolutely steady, then is there an issue here where this pallet fork could be moving back and forth, or the pivot? So I think that's what's happening here. So what I want to do is take the pallet fork out and see if I can move that horn just a little bit closer to prevent the overbanking. If I move it too close, then it's going to touch that roller table and the balance will not swing properly. So that'll cause another issue. So let me see if we can move that a little bit closer. I have to disassemble the movement and just to get this pallet fork out to work on it. So to let the pressure off of the mainspring to start off with. So I adjusted the camera angle so to see if I could do this and not get my hands in the way while I'm doing it. So if I just push in with the bench key like this, it puts it in winding mode and not in setting mode. And then this here is the click for the mainspring, so I need to kind of put a little bit of pressure on that and then move it out of the way. I gotta remember whether I push it down or up to click it, but yeah, I think it goes down, and then I have to just very carefully, I got to hang on to the mainspring winders to release that. So I'm not sure if you can see that little spring there. So I push, turn it to wind it, like push in, turn it to wind it, push this out of the way, and then let the mainspring down very carefully. And then you can do it you can just keep doing it, like push it in, turn it, push this, let it down, let go of that, and then this is the click spring for the mainspring. So you want to push like you're winding it, and then push that little click spring in out of the way, and then let it go. Readjust your hands. Do the same thing, because you don't want that mainspring just to fly, right? Because I'm just letting my hands slide a bit here, and I've got I've got this bench key kind of jammed into my hand in the back, so it's helping because I'm just having to push this. I'm trying to do this so you can see it. So here we go. It's not a bad configuration. Of my finger on the other end will allow me to apply some pressure here. So do that. Push that out of the way, and then I just don't want the mainspring to go really fast, because it could. There's a safety pinion on it, as you can read on the top, but the safety pinions are great, but you can still screw your watch up that way. I guess let it go and then get my hand in the right configuration, then turn it clockwise, and then get the spring off again and let it go. Clockwise, spring, let it go. Like that. Clockwise, click spring, or let it glow or go. And then rest your hand and then push it in like this, clockwise, let it go. You'll feel when the tension's down to nothing. It'll be just a different feeling altogether. It's getting really close, so I just press in here like that, press this in, and there's very little tension left in that mainspring. So I'm letting go completely of my bench key and it's not turning. So, all right, so all the pressure's off the mainspring. Now I can remove this pallet fork, and the it might spin just a bit, but it shouldn't spin that much. All right, I just want to remove the pallet fork bridge, so I'm going to take the outer screw out first. I get in a little bit closer here. I'm going to take this screw out first. Things in tight. And I'll take this all the way out. Get my tweezers out here. And put that out of the way, like I always say. And now I want to get a toothpick in there, or a piece of pegwood, to hold that bridge down. When I turn this, I don't want the bridge to take a ride, so I want it to be controlled as I move it upward. So that out of the way, and now I should be able to just jimmy this pallet fork bridge out of the way, like that, and grab it with my tweezers at an angle. And I'm going to lift that straight up and out of the way, and then remove the pallet fork. I just grab that as close as I can to the base and just lift it straight up. So now I've got the pallet fork, and you can see the movement didn't spin like crazy when I did that. So there we go. That's the pallet fork out. Now I have to figure out how to jig this up so I can work on that horn. Now what I want to do as well is cover the movement, and I can cover both the movement and the balance at the same time, just on my mat like that. That way the dust doesn't get at it. And then figure out again how to mount this pallet fork to do the changes. Alright, I got my trusty staking set out here because I think this technique might work. So it's a land of techniques. So there we go there. I got to center this. And I should always center it without the stump in. And I think I can just loosen that up, and that will center perfectly, and then tighten that up in the back, and then center that, and then make sure that goes right down to the center. Yeah, it's not too bad. This is just trial and error, folks, trial and error. So then I'm going to take the pin here. So I've got another stake. I got the pallet fork like this, and I'm going to kind of sandwich the pallet fork here by its arm very carefully, and just might have to grab the pallet fork with my fingers here just lightly, and then have that go down like this and sandwich that. So I want the pallet fork to be safe. So here's what I'm going to do. Let me just see if I can show you this craziness that I'm going to try. Alright, here's the craziness. So I've got the pallet fork in here, and I'm going to just rotate this with my hand because it's just the weight of the stake on there, so it's no big deal. So what I'm going to do, let's push this down again, is get this dart, safety roller, whatever you want to call it, in really close like that to the get it in really close to the stake, and then I'm going to put pressure down on it, and then put a screwdriver in here and twist that screwdriver to see if this will move ever so slightly, because I just want it to move just a bit. Alright, I've got pressure on this now, and I'm going to put my screwdriver right in there. I'm not sure whether the whole pallet fork moved or whether that dart on the end moved. So I'm going to move it in a little closer again. And I'm just going to have a look at the angle because I saw the angle before. And I'm seeing if this angle has changed at all. Doesn't look like it. I'm just going to try this again here. I need to put a ton of pressure on the top of that stake somehow. So maybe with the palm of my hand or something. Because it needs to have a lot of pressure going down on it in order for the stake or for the pallet fork not to move. Okay, that's definitely moved that safety pin. I believe it did anyway. So the question is, did I move it enough? The only way to tell is to reassemble and test. So there you go. So that was my solution, and I stuck my thingamajobby doohickey in there and just moved it a bit. So it's just so sensitive. So now I'm just going to reinstall everything. Let me take my fork out here. And I'll just put this all away. And before I reassemble it, I'm just going to have another look at this. And yeah, it does look like it's moved forward just a bit. Not sure if that's enough to make this happen, but it's good enough for now, for me, I think. So I'm just going to put this back in place. Find the hole there, and then make sure the banking pins, that the arm of that pallet fork is on either side of the banking pins. And then put this back in place. Kind of just drop it down, and then I'm just going to fiddle with it until the bridge is in the right place here. Fiddling. Fiddle die do die day. My fiddling sucks. Yeah, I think my fiddling absolutely sucks. I'll try this again. Man, oh man, I actually don't like putting these pallet fork bridges back in. They're a pain in the ass. I swore. Hopefully YouTube. I said the A word. Of course, the whole thing rotated on my screwdriver, on my tweezers. I'm trying to get my tweezers out of here now. There we go. I think that's in. And now, just so it doesn't jump around, I'm going to use the old toothy pick here. I can see the pivot through the top. I want to make sure this thing is in well. And when I tighten this, I don't tighten it completely because I don't want to make sure that both pivots on both sides are in well, and I'm not going to crush anything. So the good news is I didn't have to shellac a new impulse jewel in. I've got videos on that too. If you're interested, you can just look through my videos, and there's a couple of them on shellacking these impulse pins. So I do this, then I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on this here to see if it goes back and forth, and it does. Then I'm going to tighten this up a little more. And I think I'm good. And I'm going to put a little bit of Is that still free? Yeah, that's still free. So we're good there. Now I can just tighten these up. I need to tighten my screwdriver too because it's kind of turning when I turn. So then I grab the bench key, put a little bit of power on this thing and see if it flicks. It should. There we go. And this should just flick back and forth nice and easy. So just get my tweezers here and just touch it lightly. And there we go. I'm hoping that worked. I'm hoping it worked because that indent for the horn is like stupid. It's not. I think that's just crazy. That indent is just way too small. So just very carefully roll this over like that. And I use my hand to support the balance as I'm rolling that over. And then grab the balance, and in this case here the pallet fork is on the other side here. So let me just grab this, readjust my camera. So I just want to make sure this enters the watch from the right side, or the correct side. And playing with these balances is like tricky as hell. Yeah, I think I got it overbanking again. Anyway, I'm going to play with this and I'll come right back. This is not worth you watching. Alright, I got it ticking again, which is nice. It was not actually bad. I wasn't away for 20 minutes. I was only away for a couple of seconds here. So it's ticking again, which is a good thing, because if I totally screwed that little horn up, then it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't be ticking. So what I don't know is this watch going to have an overbanking situation here? Because I don't know that at all. It's ticking, but I squeezed something there, so just want to make sure the pivot is in the hole properly. Seems to be ticking, but it's not as free as it was before. Just gonna have a look at this and check it out. It's ticking now, which is good. Alright, there we go. Adjust it again. I basically took the banking pin and put it back a bit because I think I moved it forward a bit. The only other adjustment I can possibly make is to actually hollow out the roller table a bit to make sure the roller table is in a good situation, but I think this is all I can do for this watch. And it's old, man. It's old. So thanks for watching this video. I'm just going to case this and call it a day. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.